When I was growing up and starting my gaming hobby, World War II games were in their prime. They dominated the market. Call of Duty's first handful of games were World War II based. I also remember playing the Brothers in Arms games, and one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time is Medal of Honor. All of these games were cool and enjoyable to play. I actually learned a lot while playing them thanks to the cutscenes and other pieces of historical material that were provided. World War II games from the late 90s to about 2010 put a heavy focus on campaigns. They were historically accurate to a point, educational, and most of all, in some way, shape, or form depicted the seriousness of the war. These weren't fantasy war games. But the game that takes the cake for all of this is Call of Duty World at War. The developers went all in on making this game not only authentic in terms of World War II and the time period it took place in, but they also made sure they nailed the brutality, the intensity, and the blood and gore that real soldiers saw on the battlefield. So in today's video, we will look back at one of the most authentic World War II games of all time. This is Call of Duty World at War. World at War might be one of the most underrated games of all time. Yes, the game was successful, it was rated highly by a lot of different people, and it is still highly regarded by many gamers. But when the game came out in 2008, people were growing tired of the World War II genre. And the year before, when Call of Duty 4 came out, the first game in the franchise that went to a different setting other than World War II, the modern aspect for a change, it was a breath of fresh air that people enjoyed. But for me personally, I loved World at War more. I'm a history buff, and I love to learn about World War II, but what amazed me the most about this game was its depiction of war, and that depiction was hell. As soon as you reach the main menu of the game, you are hit with the intense vibes that this game will provide. The menu features a picture of rows of fallen soldiers' helmets sitting on rifles, the screen is dark with fog rolling around, a creepy track plays and a woman is singing in German. One piece of the lyrics is this: "Brave soldier, die with me." The menu design truly gives off a horror game vibe. And one thing that has always frustrated me about the World War II genre is that many of these games have focused on like one aspect of the war, and it's typically the Americans versus the Germans in Europe. Did you know over 50 nations in the world were fighting in some capacity in World War II? World at War's campaign featured two different fronts. On one side, we played as Dmitry Petrenko, and we went through his journey of surviving at Stalingrad and marching all the way to Berlin. The other front takes place in the Pacific. We step into the shoes of Private C. Miller as you island hop with the US Marines. COD campaigns are known for being bombastic and over the top. There's a lot of action sequences that make you feel like you're watching a Mission Impossible movie or John Wick or a James Bond flick, and it is cool to experience that stuff, but you kind of forget about just how screwed up war is. World at War is not about box office action, rather than it focuses on the horrors of war. The Russian campaign opens up with you lying on the ground with a group of dead Russian soldiers. Russia got its ass kicked at the beginning of the war, but when they pushed Germany back into their homeland, the revenge was gruesome. The coolest part of the Russian campaign is the person you fight alongside with, and that's Viktor Reznov. Reznov is probably the greatest COD character outside of Captain Price. Reznov is the heart and soul of really this entire campaign, and he is ruthless. He encourages you and other soldiers to show no mercy. He wants you to shoot soldiers who are surrendering. He urges you to throw Molotovs at soldiers. He wants to see nothing but dead German soldiers and see all of Germany burned and destroyed like what happened in his homeland. The Pacific Theater is also pretty brutal. You fight the Japanese with flamethrowers, they will banzai charge you, you can also bayonet them. There's even some instances where your fellow soldiers will be killed by booby traps. Out of the 22 Call of Duty games to ever come out, World at War is still the only game to feature so much blood and gore. Limbs fall off when you shoot or blow up enemies. Blood splatters out into the air, bodies are bloody and mutilated, and the ground is also full of blood. Most World War II games, even outside of the COD franchise, don't feature these things. The level design was also top-notch in this game. The Russian campaign starts off as a battle through Stalingrad as you try to find a German general to snipe. Another Russian mission has you in control of a tank. Perhaps the coolest mission in the game takes place in the Pacific campaign. There's a mission where you play as a different US soldier, and he is a crew member on a PBY Catalina flying boat. The mission starts with you attacking merchant ships from the sky. The other half of the mission has you fighting and trying to rescue American sailors from the waters of the Pacific. so the boat actually lands in the water and you begin to pull sailors into the plane. The Russian campaign ends with you storming the Reichstag. As you are about to plant the flag on top of the building, you get shot. However, Reznov brutally kills the German soldier who shot you. You manage to get up and plant that flag. The Pacific campaign ends with a tough battle where you defend Shuri Castle from waves of Japanese soldiers. At the end, you have to choose between two different squad mates to save, so the game can get intense in moments like that. And the campaign also has high replayability. This is due to a couple of cool features. First off, you could play cooperatively with friends. I believe couch co-op is for 2 people, and then I remember for sure that you could play with up to 3 friends online. You could play for fun, or have the game keep score for bragging rights. And I think, honestly, I don't know of any other COD games that allow you to play the campaigns cooperatively in any sort of fashion. So a big plus here, and another reason why World at War is unique, especially in the Call of Duty franchise. I also remember a cool Easter egg in one of the early Pacific Theater missions. You land on the beach and there's a way to get a ray gun. The campaign also featured 13 hidden death cards that you could find. Each level has one besides the couple of missions that feature you in a vehicle, and each card unlocks a cheat. Some examples include headshots making enemies explode, enemies basically taking the form of zombies, blood splatter turns into paint, and your pistol shoots explosive rounds if you go down in co-op mode. Back in those days, I always respected the developers of these World War II games because they cared about the history. They based missions on real battles. The historical footage used in between missions was cool and actually very educational. Some of these games also found a way to say, hey, this is dedicated to those that lost their lives in this war. Some games have even provided shocking stats such as death counts from, different countries or how many people died in specific battles. World at War is a hell of a game. Every aspect of it is great. The campaign, the multiplayer, and of course zombies, which in this game was the birth of zombies. And unfortunately nowadays, the developers are afraid to put in big details in World War II games, like important details. They are afraid to put in the swastika or even say the word Nazi. And I think historical accuracy is important. I know we play these games for fun, and that can maybe be controversial in some people's minds, but personally, I think the old World War II games provided a certain amount of care, dedication, and educational value to the war. Man, I would love to play another World War II game today that is on the same level as World at War. Thanks for checking out the video. I'll provide some links at the end of this video for some of my other videos that focus on classic World War II games. I even have a video on zombies that I will share as well. So go ahead and like this video, check out those other videos, and feel free to subscribe for more. Take care.